Okay, we're going to code this again, these four statements in JavaScript this time. So let's pop over to my first JS. If you can remember, we started off with var x equals 3. Now there's a couple of things I can say here. If I have another integer, I can just separate them with a comma. So I could just say that y equals 4. I'm not really too bothered about that. I'm going to come to a little bit of a difference in a minute. But if I need a name to be Bob, I need to say it's a variable. Name equals Bob, and put a semicolon at the end of the line. If I want to set pi to be 3.1, which is a float, name pi equals 3.1. Oh, that's 3.2. And if I want valid to be false, I need to say var valid equals false. So that is the JavaScript version, and if you remember how we ran the JavaScript version, we really needed to be running myfirst.html, which links to the JavaScript file which runs it. So because I'm setting things and not printing anything out, I don't expect to see a result, so I'm going to run it. If I do see a result, I've made a mistake. There we go, it's as blank as can be, so that means it's working. But where I want to go before I stop this video is, although I can set them out like this, I don't need to. I could declare my variables at the top. Variable x, variable name, variable pi, and sometimes this helps to see what you've got in your program. Variable valid, so I've got all my variable names declared at the top, which is similar to other languages like Pascal and Delphi, and then I can actually write the variables or what they equal later on without saying that they're variables. Just do x equals 3. It's a little bit more code, but maybe it's a better programming construct. That's up to you. Name equals Bob. Pi equals 3.1 and valid equals false. All I need to do is declare them before I use them, but I can actually set them as I declare them. That's the only thing. So if I save that, again, let's launch myfirst in Google Chrome, which will run the code, and there we go. If you want proof that something's happening, if I miss off a semicolon, hopefully this will work. It should. No, it's just crashed at the point. There are ways to look at debugging JavaScript programs, which I'm not going to go into too much detail at the moment, but if you inspect, okay, you will have your JavaScript and you will be able to trace through your JavaScript program working. But I'm not going to go into that at the moment. Only if you want to program in JavaScript will I take a look at this. But let's just see if I can actually create an error. Very difficult to make errors in JavaScript or HTML because they just do everything. That would fail. It would not work. So anything that my program relied on later would probably have issue with that. Let's call this one valid 2. Let's see if that would make it fail. So let's go back to my JavaScript and relaunch it. No, even that hasn't made it fail, but it wouldn't work in my, well, it has made it fail, it just wouldn't work in a program. I would receive an error. So when programming in JavaScript, it can be very, very tricky. to actually know whether your program's working or know whether it isn't. A little bit different in PHP. It will tell you pretty much immediately if errors have been turned on in your server that you've made a mistake. So that's the JavaScript version of this. Let's just put it back to normal. Where's it going? Valid 2. There we go. These are called loose languages because they don't pick up errors as you're typing them. They don't pick up errors when you're running them. You're left thinking that your program is working fine, but maybe it isn't. Other languages such as Pascal and Delphi, compiled languages, they just won't let that happen. They're much more strict.